Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are AVCI, and AVCI's mission is...
We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services.
Absolutely. And in this case, we are helping aviation executives sell more of their products or services, or to be more effective in a digital environment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is actually introducing our executive digital media coaching product, which we've always done informally, but we've never really put a program together for it. So we're going to tell you some of the reasons that we've come to this conclusion and tell you what's included in this program, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there are people in your organization who are what we call digital citizens, and then there are people who are kind of not, right? Know what I mean?
Digital citizens are like denizens?
Digital citizens, people who are comfortable with a laptop, they're comfortable with a phone, they can do stuff, they can make things happen, they can contact people via video conference and feel totally fine about it. They can make a Snapchat video and stick it out there and, think nothing of it. And it's not necessarily young people or old people, because I've seen a lot of 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old people who are very, very digitally literate, right?
Yep.
And I've also seen 20-year-olds, 20, 30-year-olds who are
afraid to look into a camera.
Right.
In fact, they won't even turn the camera on without being lashed at with a whip.
Mm-hmm. And they don't...
Verbal whip, anyway.
Right. And they're, really uncomfortable with LinkedIn, and they're really uncomfortable with Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or any of those things, which is totally fine. People start from wherever they're starting from, right?
Exactly.
But you are at a serious disadvantage nowadays if you are not a digital citizen.
Yes.
Okay. So
Or yes, that's correct what you said.
I'm glad you think so. Show him your coffee cup.
Okay. You've seen this before, right?
Yes, exactly. If you haven't seen this before, this was inspired by Tiberius Baxter, who commented on one of our posts, which was...
About my sarcasm.
Sarcasm, exactly. Exuding sarcasm. So, Tiberius is probably a digital citizen.
I would say.
Yeah, and they're totally comfortable interacting in a digital environment, and other people are not. So, if you are not, right, and you've been doing maybe sales in the aviation industry for 20 years or 10 years or whatever number of years, very successful in your environment and in your life.
Even if you've been doing it for 2 or 3 years prior to COVID.
Yeah, and you're great at a trade show, and you're great in a one-on-one situation, you're great sitting at a table with someone, and that is the way that you're the most comfortable doing business, and that's great, right? Don't want to take anything away from that. That is another arrow in your quiver that is super powerful and fantastic.
Yep.
But
you have to side it with digital.
Right. You don't have the opportunity to sit at a table with anyone without doing some digital work nowadays, it seems.
Yep.
Okay. So
at least it's rare.
Share some information that we picked up. This is surprising. If you are thinking that things are going to go back to normal, they are not, right? And this is in business to business. This is not retail, right? So this is people who sit in offices and do stuff and buy things on behalf of their business. So in aviation, this is the closest analogy to what we have that has the largest number, that has a large enough number that the press is writing about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So both B2B buyers and sellers prefer the new digital reality when it comes to sales. They don't particularly care to have a salesperson come to their office.
That's crazy.
Well,
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But, okay.
And this is a pretty respected survey. More than 3/4 of buyers and sellers say they now prefer digital self-serve and remote human engagement over face-to-face interactions. And of course, this doesn't mean that they've all of a sudden turned antisocial or whatever, but it's just they would rather be spending the time with their family. They'd rather be spending time on vacation. They would rather be able to just tune in from their laptop and do what needs to be done without You know, the human interaction. Safety is one reason, of course, you know, given COVID and all that. But self-service and remote interactions have made it easier for buyers to get information. It puts the buyer more in control, I think, of the process than they used to be, because it used to be you were waiting for a salesperson to provide this to you, and now you can get what you want from other sources. And I think that's part of the reason. Only about 20% of B2B buyers say they hope to return to in-person sales, even in sectors where field sales models have traditionally dominated, such as pharma, medical products, and I would add industrial products, aviation products, things like that. So that often follows pharma and medical, you know.
Yeah, but even in aviation, I mean, you may start with digital.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'd buy an airplane without going and looking at the airplane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With the sales guy, with somebody.
Right, and that's why the best of both worlds is to have both worlds, right?
Yep.
So that you've got all of that going on, and you can talk to someone, and you can Zoom with someone, and you can have all of that groundwork out of the way before you get on an airplane and go see the airplane that you're thinking about buying.
Right.
Okay. So that's interesting. I'll wait for things to get back to normal. Here's another reason that's not going to happen. Most B2B seller interactions have moved to remote or digital. So the current way of interacting with suppliers, sales reps during different stages of the process. So this is talking about, you know, identifying your suppliers, evaluating the options that are on the market, placing your orders, receiving, reordering, all of that stuff is now digital, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really is moving to online. So you really need to have this skill set in your wallet. Okay. So you might say, well, there are some things that just can't be done except in person.
And
right?
I'm one of those guys that says that.
Those guys that says that. I knew you would be. See. Yeah, and aviation is one of the more traditional fields. Mm-hmm. Okay. An argument on the other side of that is that remote engagement successfully supports both selling and prospecting. So, you know, you might think, well, you know, remote is fine if we've made a sale to this person before and we're just doing a resale. Or remote is fine if we already know who the customers are or who the prospects are and we're just engaging with them. But, you know, this shows that digital, yeah.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to go buy an airplane,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to go. If I am to buy an airplane,
you're going to go.
It's particularly if it's a pre-owned airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can talk to me, but there have been too many cases where you show up to the airplane and it's not as
advertised.
That's right.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Well, you'll notice these numbers are not 100%. Right?
Exactly.
So, you know, this is, as of August 16th is when they did the survey.
And I'm okay with everything, not everything, with most things going digital and so
mm-hmm.
forth, where it'll work.
Yeah.
But I'm also realistic enough to know that sometimes you get to a point where you have to have a physical interaction.
Right. That is absolutely right. Totally agree with that. But you can see the numbers are supporting a digital model.
Sure.
And having both is the ideal scenario where you're really, really powerful and you've got good skills in both camps.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. But business to business and aviation companies don't change as quickly as others. So you're talking about medical and pharma, right?
Yeah, but they're going to have to.
Exactly. So, you know, the majority of business to business companies have shifted their go-to-market model from traditional to digital with heavy reliance on video and online chat. So, they're down 52% on the traditional and in-person method, 41% for video conference, and 23% for online chat. So before, probably 2 years ago, I don't think you had ever used an online chat. Is that accurate? Maybe
before when?
Maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I've used that. There were a few companies that used that.
Okay. But in the last 2 years.
It's really gone nuts.
Yeah. So you've done, I mean, just in observing the way that you use computers, you know, and I think this is pretty indicative of a lot of aviation buyers.
This ought to be good.
You will resist, at least you used to resist really heavily getting involved in a chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I still do, because it depends. If I want to chat, I can tell right up front if it's AI driven. If it is, I'll just throw it out the window.
Right, because they used to be terrible, and they still are pretty terrible.
They still are, because they often know what you want to know, and then when a person comes on, they say, well, how can I help you?
You're like, I just went through all this. I don't want to tell the whole story again. Cut and paste is the way I do it.
No. Telephone call.
But that's their, that's their problem. They shouldn't ask you the same question twice.
Well, but they do, and that forces me to go somewhere else or pick up the phone.
Right. Okay. But if I were to look at 5 years ago versus this year, okay.
16, okay.
Okay. How much more likely are you to do a chat now than 5 years ago?
Actually, probably less, because they're all AI driven.
Okay. Interesting.
And I am not going to go down that road. They aren't good enough. I won't interact with AI on a telephone. Mm-hmm. And that's just not the way. I mean, once you've done this enough, made enough calls, made enough chats, you know when it's driven by AI.
But you've had some good chats with salespeople.
I've had a few.
And were they 5 years ago, or were they more recent?
They were a while back.
Okay. Interesting. So he's bucking the statistics and making this hard for me. But that's okay.
No, I'm trying to make it real.
Same question, video conference.
Well, that's different. Mm-hmm. The reason that's different is because, I mean, you can tell. Is that me? Is that her? I mean, now I know.
There are deep fakes. We could be Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump standing here.
With enough dollars and time, you can do anything with pictures and audio. But,
I know. Yeah.
But when you first sign on, I mean, video is good, because I've actually set up meetings with people to meet. We've never met before face to face. We go meet at a restaurant, and because we did video or did LinkedIn lookup, we know what each other looks like. Yeah.
And I've actually seen some product demos on video that were really, really good. Where people have taken apart a part and shown all the pieces and done a really good demo by video.
Oh, yeah.
Either recorded on their website or live in a webinar or something like that. So, I think that pretty much bears this out, that video conference is more likely than chat. I mean, people still hate chat,
Well, I wouldn't mind it, actually. The people that will...
As long as it's a human.
As long as it's human. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Cool. And that's part of what we learn. Part of what we teach is how to engage in an online conversation with a prospect. And a lot of people don't really know that, and they're not really comfortable with that. But you will be by the end of this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're saying, but large ticket sales have to be done in person.
Not necessarily.
Okay. You're not saying that?
No, what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if it's a one-person airplane or a 20-person airplane. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to buy it without looking at it. If it's pre-owned.
Right. That makes sense.
If it's manufactured new, that's different.
Right.
A new manufacturer.
Exactly. Non-traditional channels are now driving the lion's share of revenue that is changing hands nowadays in those sales transactions.
Sure.
So, that last interaction may be in person, but I would say that the decision is made by that time.
Oh, yeah.
And then
given that the product bears out.
Yeah.
Then sure, it's already made.
You're just confirming a decision that you made from a digital conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so, it just becomes more and more and more important to do things digitally. So you're thinking, I don't need the video, I'm just going to use the phone. And I get on meetings with people who say, I don't want to turn my camera on.
And that's what she does too.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Right. And you don't have to be glamorous, right? You don't have to be fabulous in order to make this work, but it is 1,000 times more effective. It's actually not 1,000 times. It's something like 70-something% more effective to have a conversation with someone you can see than to have a conversation with someone that you can only hear.
Not the least of which is it's less likely to to override what they're saying.
Exactly. So, there have been a lot of studies saying that a lot of the meaning in a conversation is nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's facial expressions. It is,
Oh, yes. You can tell if somebody says yes and you know they're going to kill the sale.
Oh, yeah.
Just by looking at them.
Right. And interrogators in law enforcement, they would never do that by phone. They have to see a person's face. They have to see a person's body, ideally, so that you can actually have a good conversation. And this is some really good statistics, preference for video. And this would include things like Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams. It doesn't matter what the tool is. What matters is that they see your face. Meeting with others in your company, 79% prefer video to phone. Meeting with existing customers, 76% prefer video to phone. Meeting with prospects, 76% prefer video to phone. I don't know why that number is not higher. It really should be. Meeting with vendors and suppliers, 77% prefer video to phone. So, vendors and suppliers, it's usually fairly cut and dried.
So what was the date on this particular survey?
This is the same
part of
survey.
the same one? Okay.
Yeah, so August of last year.
Wow. I bet it's changed now.
Right, I would bet the numbers are even higher.
Yes.
So, if you ever have the opportunity, especially in a sales call, to do video, and you have a choice, video or phone, the answer is always
Video.
Video, absolutely. You're just killing your chances if you opt for the phone call.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So you're thinking, and a lot of people think, a lot of the folks in our group tell me over and over and over again, this is not my thing. I can't do this stuff. I didn't learn this stuff when I was younger. This is not my language. This is not whatever and stuff like that until we get through that process with you. You can be just as comfortable with this as the digital citizens in your organization.
Let's backtrack a bit here.
Okay.
It seems I recall when I bought my first airplane,
Mm-hmm.
once I got to where I actually talked to the guy, it was on phone, and then we met and decided on options and everything, down payment.
Mm-hmm.
But the second airplane, of course, these were both new, factory new.
Mm-hmm.
Second airplane, I think we just picked up the phone and made a call.
Yeah.
But these were new, not pre-owned.
Right.
So, made the call, told them what I wanted, and how the financing was to occur, and it was all done. So, but then video wasn't available back then, or I'd done that. But, anyway, just to backtrack.
Okay. So
That
you
aside.
would have done video had it been available.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, because even when you're buying, you can see what the seller's facial expressions are, and whether you think, really?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, sure. And the expression is, really?
Right? So negotiating
Yeah.
is more comfortable, I think, for everybody when you can see each other. And, even working out the details, making sure that you are understood, making sure that they will really do what they say they're going to do, that they really have the confidence behind their product or service. So if you have learned sales in any format whatsoever, you can learn to do this digital stuff. It is not that hard.
No, it's easy.
Exactly. But what you do need is a safe place to practice, because you don't want to practice on your prospects. Most of us have a fairly limited number of prospects. In fact, we had one client that had 68, an entire universe of 68 possible customers, because she sold a very specific service
Yes.
that was only available for a particular make of aircraft, right? and under certain circumstances,
Right.
and in certain geographical locations and a whole bunch of other things. Yours may not be that specific or small, but you do have a small number of prospects in the grand scheme of things compared to retail.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to be practicing this stuff on your customers. You don't want to be fumbling with social media. You don't want to be fumbling with Zoom.
And we can set this up so that you can do it from your house, from your office, from your car if you want. Starbucks if they let you in there. You know, so it doesn't matter where, so that you get used to it.
Right. And we have an optional service where we will actually come to your location and, you know, set this up for the first time. You know, so the first call, the first setup, everything else. We can send you an equipment list. We can help you set it up. We can do all of those things if you need that. Most people, their equipment is fine. You know, they're able to set that up or get someone to help them set that up. But they want a safe place to practice. So you get to practice with us, which is more fun, less stress, and, you know, you get to try some things out.
We make mistakes too. So
exactly.
You can laugh at us.
Right. And then you'll be super polished and, you know, really, really confident when you meet with a client.
Exactly.
All right. So here's what's included with our executive digital media coaching. Zoom video conference practice, of course. We have the optional setup where we will come to your location and set up your video setup. You know, your cameras, your microphones, your lighting, your whole 9 yards, right? LinkedIn profile setup and optimization. Digital prospect research. We'll show you how to research prospects digitally, you know, using what's on the web. Social media prospecting, how to reach out to people using social media and how not to reach out to people using social media, right? There's a lot of people doing this badly nowadays. We are not those kind of people, right? Oh, go ahead.
One would hope not.
One would hope not. Social media participation coaching. Now, this is something that, you know, people say, well, you just should know how to do this. You just make comments on people's posts, you know, but you don't know what to say if you've never really done this before. It's kind of awkward until you get comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a group of, I was going to say very nice people, but...
well, they are very nice people, right? Individually.
There's a saying that I saw yesterday, and it said, East Coast people are kind but not nice. West Coast people are nice but not kind. I'm still trying to figure out what that means exactly. And if I agree with it, because I actually think that West Coast people are much nicer than East Coast people. And kinder, you know. But anyway, these folks are really good people, honestly. And they are very helpful. And sometimes they can be unkind.
Well, but they expect it in return.
Exactly.
So they want to be real. They want straight answers, and they will give you straight answers. Exactly.
And, you know, that group gives you a nice kiddie pool to play in where you're not going to drown, right? And it's a private group. So, you know, it's only among friends where you're making comments and you're doing some of these social media interactions and things like that. So, that is a really nice practice area as well. Social media update collaboration will put together 12 updates that you can use over time, you know, maybe every Tuesday or whatever you want on your social media so that you have something to say, right? That is relevant to your specialty and, you know, helps position you as an expert in your field. And intro video production. So we will put together for you, we'll talk you through putting together an intro video. You'll record the footage. We call it footage, even though there's no tape, right? It's all digits nowadays. You'll send us the digital footage. And we'll produce it for you so that you have a nice intro video for your website or for your LinkedIn profile or for wherever you want to use that. And we can do that either in an interview format or we can do that in a monologue format, whatever is most convenient for you, but we'll make it look good. We'll make you look fabulous. You'll be comfortable with it. Actually, that's not true. A lot of people don't like the way they look on video.
or the way they sound in audio.
Mm-hmm. And it's just because they're not used to it. So we will make you look very professional and very polished. You still may not like the way you look.
And sound.
And sound. That's just life.
And because I don't like the way I look and sound. So whether or not I look polished and professional, but it doesn't matter. Just trying to get the job done, you know?
Exactly. You know, there's a difference between being effective and being perfect, right? We're effective. We are not perfect.
No.
Okay.
Speaking for me, anyway.
Right. All right. So we do 45 minute one-on-one online coaching sessions from the comfort of your own office or home office or wherever you are, right? Online on-demand videos and support materials. So we've got some nice cheat sheets. We've got some nice videos that you can refer to whenever you like, at your convenience and things like that. And then we send you in the mail a printed guide with cheat sheets and checklists and so on, so that you'll have something to refer to. I actually really like that. I think it's a really nice way to ground any course that I'm taking online, is to have something that's physical, so that if I get lost, I know where I'm going and coming back to and all that. Okay. All right, so in this program we're actually launching fairly soon. Probably by the time you're seeing this, we'll have a link where you can see the details and how to get started and how to set up your first meeting and all of the details, right? Okay, so yeah, it's on our website. Go there, do what we tell you to. And I promise, if you follow the instructions and if you stick with us for the entire program, you're going to feel so much more comfortable using digital tools, and you're going to be that much more powerful as a salesperson or as an executive, because you're able to use these tools in addition to all of the in-person skills you already have.
You're already confident with sales, now you be confident with video.
Exactly.
Digital.
Right. Absolutely. Go sell more stuff.
The industry needs the business. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.